What up, cuckolds? It's your boy, the Hater, up in this mug, and it's time for yet another episode of Hater Outdoors. Here we are, Hater Outdoors. Now, today's episode of Hater Outdoors is going to concern something of primal importance, and that is the amount of sucking that WWE has had since WrestleMania, right? It's now been enough times, nearly 4 months, for us to start holding people accountable. The question that I'd like to pose to everyone listening here is, what the hell has happened over the last 4 months? 4 months is not an insignificant period of time. As a matter of fact, in 4 more months, we'll be basically at Hatermania once again, right? It'll be about the time for the Royal Rumble, right? And 5 months or 6 months, but you understand what I'm saying, right? We're almost halfway there in many ways, right? So, with that being said, the question becomes, what has this long-term storytelling given us, right? Well, I personally believe that the answer is absolutely nothing, right? There's only one storyline that's happening in WWE, and that one is going to be resolved at SummerSlam, right? Well, two if you got the CM Punk one, but I mean, that's hardly a storyline, right? Like, that's basically like, you know, Drew McIntyre doesn't like CM Punk. CM Punk doesn't like Drew McIntyre. People are saying it's like, it's cinema. No, it isn't. It's your standard ass, boring ass, I don't like you, you don't like me, let's fight storyline, right? It's nothing specific in the storyline that makes it more compelling than any other storyline, right? If we're being honest, right? That's just the reality of things, right? So let's go over what has happened thus far since WrestleMania. Well, first of all, Cody Rhodes has cut about 1,500 promos in his beige or brown suit, right? All this guy does is cut promos. He's had a few good matches, right? No doubt about it. They've been good matches, but they haven't been great matches. And even though people are saying they're great matches, the hater begs to differ. Primarily because there's absolutely no doubt to anyone that Cody Rhodes isn't going to lose the title to AJ Styles, right? The only thing that's happened, right, of value is we miss Roman Reigns, right? The public wants Roman Reigns. That's what happened, but that was going to happen regardless, right? If Roman Reigns leaves, that's going to happen. Now, what has actually happened? Let's list them. First of all, we've got the Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio, and Liv Morgan situation, right? This is a legitimate, tangible storyline, right? However, the storyline should have been resolved very, very quickly. I get it. Maybe Rhea Ripley wasn't ready to come back, right? So you have to, you know, manufacture things to make the storyline keep going. And I understand that. I can't hold that against anybody, right? It's like, all right, if the earliest she can wrestle is SummerSlam, which I don't suspect that's the case, then that is what it is, right? The storyline moved at the speed of a snail looking for a new shell up in this bitch, right? Let's be real. Nothing happened. The entire storyline is Liv Morgan likes Dominic. Who will Dominic choose? He, quote unquote, chooses Rhea Ripley, and we'll see how that plays out on Saturday, right? Now, with all that being said, what else has happened? A few other things have happened, right? Chad Gable and the Wyatt Six have been a thing, right? This is obviously an undercard act. The Wyatt family is not going to be in the main event anytime soon and likely will never be in the main event, right? People thinking, oh, Wyatt family versus Bloodline at War Games. No. The Wyatt family, the Wyatt Six, if they're lucky, they'll be on the pre-show or one of the early matches. Nobody cares about these guys, right? As a matter of fact, this also has been developing at a snail's pace. It's been now like 1, maybe 2 months since they debuted, and all we've seen is a few promos of grown men crying and them attacking Chad Gable once in a while. Bo Dallas looks tiny. He has basically no muscles. This guy has nothing going for him in the context of being a potential main event wrestler. And a lot of people are saying, this has the potential to be the next supernatural gimmick. No, it doesn't. Because if you put him against Obafemi, there is no scenario where you can sell to me that Obafemi is afraid of Bo Dallas, right? Zero chance. It's not possible. If you do this against Lashley, if he sticks around, there's no chance of that happening either. If you do this against Orton, like, that's probably the best example because Orton has already beaten like the Wyatt family like 100 times. If anything, Orton should be like, again? You know, like Orton should cut a promo being like, well, I've already beaten Bray Wyatt's ass and set him on fire, right? And now all of a sudden I have to deal with like the leftover people, these jobbers, the guy that The Rock squashed in 2 seconds, right? Since WrestleMania in addition, The Rock has left, but that's understandable, right? We all knew that was going to happen. It sucks, shame on The Rock, but it is what it is, right? In addition, we have had the title reign of Damian Priest. This has been lackluster at best And now that it's getting good, it's going to inevitably be ripped away from him, right? Maybe not at SummerSlam, but shortly thereafter, you can bet your ass on that, right? Logan Paul has done fuck all, right? Fuck all since WrestleMania, where he won one of the better matches, in my opinion. And he beat Orton and Owens clean, right? Straight up, like triple threat match. You can do like, shady things in triple threat matches. He didn't bring anybody else out to help him considerably. He just beat them, right? He had that jobber out there, but like whatever. The point is he beat them fair and square, right? It wasn't like he cheated big time to win. He proved that he belongs, and he was presented as someone that belongs. Meanwhile, Kevin Owens has done fuck all. He's just wasting his career. Sami Zayn's Intercontinental title reign has been complete garbage, right? Nothing has happened, motherfucks. Nobody is feuding with anybody, right? It's just the only feud is Cody Rhodes is continuing his feud with the Bloodline, right? It's been another 4 months after he finished the story. This is like the epilogue, I guess, motherfucks. So, that's kind of boring and nobody cares. In addition to that, Jacob Fatu has debuted. But while they keep telling us this is a big deal, the hater doesn't agree. I don't see anything special about this guy. I am prepared now to say that I was right all along. He's just another Samoan with a Samoan moveset who acts like a retard. So I'm not impressed by him whatsoever in the slightest. I am as impressed by him as I am by Camacho, which is to say I am impressed as 0 out of 10. Beyond that, on NXT, nothing has happened of value. Trick Williams has dropped the belt, but who cares, right? It's not that important. It's not an important belt. And beyond that belt, basically every other belt except for the tag team titles, which are being reshuffled around now, all of that stuff has stayed the same, right? It stayed the same, motherfuckers. Nothing important has happened, and it's been 4 months. So the question is, will SummerSlam be the logical payoff for some of these storylines? The answer that is dictated by what we've seen is yes, right? Like, we expect some sort of quasi-closure, right? Like, if Cody Rhodes beats Solo Sikoa, then Cody Rhodes beats Solo Sikoa. That's not going to end because Solo Sikoa can just come out on Friday and say, so what? I've been beating your ass for months. You beat me once. Great. I want another match. Cuck, right? That's not going to end. The Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan thing, that needs to end, right? Dominic is, in my opinion at this point, he's going to go with Liv Morgan, and the Judgment Day will be no more after eventually, Damian Priest loses. Maybe that's why Damian Priest will lose, right? This will happen as well. Gunther has done nothing. He won the King of the Ring. But that was basically him winning 3 matches against 3 jobber nobodies, right? He didn't have any great showing. I think, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the only matches Gunther has had since WrestleMania are the King of the Ring matches, which puts him squarely as a part-timer, in my opinion, right? He hasn't been in the pay-per-views. He hasn't done anything of value, you know what I mean? Gunther has been a complete and utter jobber this entire time. He's won 3 matches, and now he becomes the number 1 contender. Fine, it is what it is. But as you can see, I just was able to recap everything that happened in 4 months in 8 minutes. And I don't think I'm missing anything. So that proves to you that nothing has happened. I don't think I could recap an episode of Attitude Era Raw in 8 minutes. So more has happened in one episode of Raw on the Attitude Era, or even SmackDown, than has happened in 4 months of wrestling. The primary reason for this, in my personal opinion, is that Triple H keeps insisting on this long-term storytelling. Well, I'm here to tell you that long-term storytelling is just another way of saying lazy booking, right? Triple H and whoever is in charge doesn't want to sit down and take the time to think up of new things to write. So what do? They do what as we say in my country, they add water and then they add flour. They add water and then they add flour, right? The dough is never perfect. Just keep adding water, keep adding flour, and the dough is always inconsistent, right? That's what's happening here. Sometimes, motherfucks, you gotta stop adding dough and flour and you gotta bake the shit, But there's no baking going on here, believe you me. All that's happening here is just stalling, prolonging, nothing good. You know what I'm saying? There has not been one person, right? You can make the case for Gunther, but as I just established, he's had 3 matches. There hasn't been anybody that has gotten a post-WrestleMania rub, right? Gunther, and if you want to be generous, you can say the Wyatt Six because they weren't around, so they get the rub just by being new. But they haven't done anything. They haven't had a match yet, so they definitely haven't gotten a rub. Actually, Gunther is the only one that has achieved anything in these last 4 months that wasn't achieved at WrestleMania. Yes, I am aware. Gargano and Ciampa won the tag titles, but nobody cares about these transitional nobodies, right? The reality is exactly what I'm saying. Nothing has happened. Nobody has stood out, right? The reason why the Raw after WrestleMania is such a huge deal is because it's the beginning of a new season. It's the beginning of a new tide, right? So the expectation is that maybe this year, let's say, Nakamura or somebody is going to start taking himself seriously, right? Maybe someone's going to debut from NXT, and this person has to be taken seriously. The only person that's like that is Braun Breaker, but as we've established on this channel several dozen times, he also hasn't achieved anything, right? He's not really that over. I mean, I like him a lot personally, but he couldn't even beat Sami Zayn, right? So it's like, basically, here's the conclusion of this video. The inability of creative to pull the trigger at non-important moments is a detriment, right? Back in the day, you could see someone winning the Intercontinental or the US title on a random ass episode of SmackDown or Raw, and that got people tuning in. But Logan Paul barely wrestles, right? He's moving on to the main event. He kind of already has, right? He's kind of already above the US title, as evidenced by his match at WrestleMania, which could have been for no title, and it still would have been a WrestleMania match because it's like multiple world champions there, right? And Randy Orton's like a 14-time world champ. But for better or for worse, this is where we find ourselves, cuckolds. This is where we find ourselves. WWE sucks. It's boring, and I can't believe it. I have no interest in anything that's going on, and I'm actually looking forward more to Wednesday to watch AEW than I am to WrestleMania. SummerSlam. SummerSlam, like, there's a lot on the line technically, but I don't think any of these things are going to have payoffs that are interesting or unique, right? Now, there is a possibility, right? And that possibility is the subject matter of our next video.